You ever do something over and over again with no actual good reason why? That's how I've been with using Logic as my DAW to record stuff. I've just been doing it so long, I've just gotten used to how crappy it is. So it's funny, I was at Sweetwater Gear Fest several months ago, and I was talking to the PreSonus rep there. And if you don't know, Fender and PreSonus are essentially the same company now, so they've acquired like a bunch of cool stuff. And they're like, have you ever tried Studio One, which is PreSonus's DAW? And I'm like, no, I use Logic. And then he goes, why? And I've thought about that. It's like, yeah, Logic kind of sucks. Like, I'm so upset with Logic all the time. And it's like, all right, I've got this one option where there's a company that breaks my iPhone on purpose every time a new one comes out, and I just gladly give them more money. And then I've got another company that is responsible for iconic Fender guitars, and they involve me in their launches and stuff and send me guitars and help me out with stuff. Maybe I should stay with like the good company that is not evil. So today we're going to be talking about why I'm switching to PreSonus Studio One and kind of just using some of their cool peripherals. I've got the Fender ToneMaster Pro, which I've done a video on, which I'm going to use in this to make some music. One cool reason you might want to switch is because they have a lot of integrated hardware. The interesting thing about Logic is like they don't really have any integrated hardware aside from their computers, but they got a bunch of controllers. I'm going to be using this. This is like a... I mean, this does a lot. You can use it as a keyboard. You can use it as like a drum machine. They got mics. They got interfaces, everything. So let's check out the PreSonus Studio One and all the fixins. All right, so real quick, we're just going to make a project from scratch, and I'm going to show you how quick it is to kind of just get in the workflow. All right, so we've got this new thing here. We're going to record a mix, one song. Here we go. So this is just a blank template right now. The first thing I want to do is I want to add an instrument because I think the instruments that come with the DAW are really important. That has been my favorite thing. So we're going to start by using one of the kits. We're just going to go to the impact kit, right? So you just click it here, drag it in, and then now you have an instrument kit. And then the cool thing about this is it interfaces super well with the Atom SQ, right? So I'm just going to be using this right now to kind of just trigger samples. And then this is just going to be maybe just fleshing out an idea or something. So we're not going to do a chill kit right now. We can go through a couple of them. Oh, cosmic chill. What's that? Yeah, that's a little too cosmic-y for me. Let's do something, just something real simple. Let's go to maybe the Jazz Kit 1. So it's loading samples here. Let's just do kind of like a musical metronome. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to record it and then just do like a little play in like a jazz type vibe. Cool thing about this acts as your entire controller. You can just do the mouse clicks if you wanted to, but I could just hit record and now I'm going. What did I want? Jazz ride. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so none of those were in time, but guess what? Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter at all. So I can go into what I just played, right? Let's take this out, and then I can listen back to it. You see this like blue MIDI here. It's like, all right, it's not great. So what you can do is you can just take your little mouse up here, and then you can turn it up to the top where it makes a little pencil. And let's say, all right, 7 to 8. I'm gonna make those loop, and then I can just toggle it on with the keyboard shortcut. And then now when I play it, it's like, okay, it's like kind of there, but super easy just to go into the editor here and then just highlight what I want, right click, and quantize. Okay, so now it's perfectly on time. And a lot of other DAWs do something like this, but what I've noticed is it's just like the speed and the intuitive nature of how this all happens is way better than Logic. Like, so okay, that's cool. Now let's say I just want that part. I can just drag here, and then it snaps automatically to the part that I want. Right? This is something that used to drive me absolutely crazy in Logic. Nothing ever snaps to 1 like it should. So let's say I want to loop this. I can just right click and then duplicate, and then I can just kind of keep doing that over and over and over again until I get like a longer type tail, right? So let's keep on duplicating it, you know, give me a couple minutes of something, and then I can drag my loop up here to have it go over and over. All right, so now I have this somewhat in time backing track that I could use to do some guitar stuff. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a Strat here. Is my buddy Brian's Strat that I've been borrowing for a second, and then I'm going to play something over that by using the Fender ToneMaster Pro. So I can go into make a new track, and then this is going to be a stereo track because I have the stereo outs on the ToneMaster, and then just go right there, right? So as soon as I chord enable this and turn the volume up, I got my Fender. Now, one of the coolest features about this is the dual buffer size. Okay, so buffer size is something that hopefully you've never had to deal with because it is a huge headache. If you have an older computer, your buffer size might matter. Basically, it's like how your computer is crunching the numbers to handle it. So if you've ever used like an older computer and an interface in DAW, and maybe you play something, and it's not an instantly responsive thing, maybe there's a latency to it, it's nearly impossible to record anything with latency. So when you're recording, you have to go into your settings and increase the buffer size, and then maybe when you're done, you're mixing it, you can decrease it, and you're playing this dance. PreSonus Studio One has a dual buffer system, so it intuitively knows, oh, Sean's tracking guitar, let's make the buffer size low latency so we can track it. And then let's say I have like 100 tracks of stuff and I'm mixing, it'll know that I'm not recording anything, so it'll just kind of take care of it and I don't have to go in the settings. That's something that used to drive me insane with Logic, because let's say I had like a bunch of synths and like high power stuff opened. Again, this is only 2 tracks, so it really shouldn't matter whatever I'm doing. But let's say it's like a bigger project and I have a bunch of stuff open. It would be clicking and popping all the time. So anytime I'd want to have to jump into the session and like add something, I'd have to change the buffer size. So PreSonus does this automatically, which is amazing. The other thing on Logic that I couldn't stand, and I can never find out why, it's like sometimes I would be recording something and it would just stop recording, but the playback would keep going. And I never understood why that was, but guess what? It's never gonna happen again. So now I can do the same thing. I can still hit record from here. And then I just have that, right? And then I can start and stop on the controller here. And then let's say I just want to loop what I have here. I can just kind of drag and just clean this up. I don't have to do it this way, but I just like cleaning it up to make it. All right, and then let's adjust where my loop is going to start and stop. And then I can kind of play over it, right? So I got, oh, let me start it within the loop there, and then. And again, I can just kind of jam, and that's how quick you can just get like a cool jam type setup going on, right? So again, that's just a real small example of how quickly you can use that, but let's hear how some of the synths sound, because again, I'm just a huge fan of just software instruments in general, and I kind of want to see a little bit more about the ones that come with Studio One. Alright, so let's just run through some of the different synth plugins and some of the cool instruments. So this is the My Tai instrument, a bunch of cool different things here. Again, I'm just using the Atom sequencer here, controller here. Sounds great. You're just hearing this through the new PreSonus monitors, actually. These are super inexpensive, so I'll have links to all this stuff in the description if you guys are interested, but we're just hearing it live, so. And again, all this stuff, as you can see here, you can add different delay. Reverb. Super cool, right? And then you can add a lot of the different modulation stuff on the actual controller itself, which is cool. The filter is actually mapped to the first controller thing usually, so if you hear like a... and then resin. Again, even the reverb mix knob is mapped to this here. Super cool. So the fact that it like is all integrated makes it really feel like the best of both worlds between a hardware synth and just kind of like a regular soft synth, right? So you can kind of cycle through some of these 80s funk bass. Oh, that's, I turned the volume way up. That's why. Get that volume down. Nice. In fact, you can see that right there. That's the envelope. If I bring that all the way down, you hear the sustain of it right there. So it's a cool way to kind of like get your hands on stuff, just to have like a tactile way to go through different synths. You can open up the menus too, and like let's say we don't want to do a bass. You could also navigate through them on the actual controller itself because there is a LCD screen on that. Let's check out some of the poly stuff. What is Das Modell? Amazing. I think it's cool just having the envelope just tracked to being able to kind of get the ADSR right there to just mess with the decay and kind of see the visual of it right there. Again, so you know, I'm more of an analog acoustic guy, but I want to get more into the synth lifestyle because I feel like it's my lifestyle. I'm built for it, built different. So it's kind of cool just being able to cycle through these and mess with them. Oh, here we go. I love it. So, I mean, there's no shortage of just ridiculous instruments that come bundled with Studio One. So you don't even have to just use the ones on here. You can use other ones too, which we're going to see now. Another thing I want to mention is how well this Atom SQ controller works, because it integrates not only with the instruments that come with PreSonus, but all the other plugin instruments as well. I've seen some kind of hardware software tag teams within plugins, but never with a full DAW before. So right now I have one of my favorite synths that is not made by PreSonus, the Arturia CS80 open, and I'm using the controller as a way to control it, right? So again, I think it's one of the best sounding synths that you can get. So a really cool thing here. And you can use it as a polyphonic keyboard as well, like with the keys here. But the nice thing is it's automatically mapped to everything that you would need. So you can have like a pitch bend function like with these. And then you can also use this slider right here to affect other parameters that you want. See how that kind of affects like the pulse of the mod wheel and the plugin. So, you know, again, you don't have to map any of these things. So the built-in integration is actually awesome and just a huge time saver. All right, next thing we're going to try out is the microphone here. This is the PD70. A lot of this was made. It's like a perfect mic for like podcasting and stuff, but I'm gonna test it out, do a couple like other sounds and stuff, and also just have this be an excuse to look into the effects, because you can actually have like a whole lineup of presets where they kind of like dial in the EQ and compressor and all that stuff for you. And again, podcasting and spoken word stuff is really big right now, so super inexpensive, and again, like all this stuff is made to work with each other, so it's really cool. This is how it sounds with the vocal preset on it. And I also do want to hear how it sounds just like with an acoustic guitar thing. And then I'll just maybe do like an instrumental track over it with some electric guitar and the ToneMaster going into the pre's and see how that sounds. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that is my first look at PreSonus Studio One. Thank you to them for sending all the gear over. I'll have affiliate links in the description. I think it's kind of impossible to go through all of the stuff in a DAW in just one video. It takes, any new DAW that you learn is going to take a minute to kind of get the whole thing down. That's why I think the integration is cool, because really having to learn one whole ecosystem of stuff and then having to learn another whole ecosystem is great when it all works together. So like I said, if you have any questions, I would love to answer them. And until next time, I will talk to you soon.